The new leaker says that today will be the final day of their leaks. I don't know if I believe it. Let's take a look. If you haven't been following the saga that has gone down over the last week, it has been insane. A new leaker emerged named Kaka, and they've been putting out a ton of information about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet through gameplay screenshots and a ton of different things, and I don't even know what's left to leak at this point. I think the good news here for us is that we haven't seen a lot of the Pokemon, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered, but they have released a lot of information, and I'll probably do a recap video tomorrow about it, assuming they actually do stop leaking. But we have some other information today that I'm going to cover. Basically, we have information that Alpha Pokemon are returning. They're not called that, but they have a similar functionality, and they'll be related to the story. This isn't the first time that Game Freak or Pokemon has done this, obviously, with Totem Pokemon and Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then Alpha Pokemon and Legends Arceus. It seems that there's some sort of mechanic that will have Pokemon that are larger or stronger or leading the pack of other particular Pokemon. It seems though mass outbreaks are returning, which was a feature in Legends Arceus that allowed you to shiny hunt. They did change it when they did kind of the Daybreak DLC for Legends Arceus, but it was a really cool shiny hunting method where multiple Pokemon would spawn together, and I think that makes a lot of sense in an open world environment. It does seem as though that size variations from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Legends Arceus are back. Now, obviously, in Legends Arceus, they were more pronounced, as you could see them in the overworld, and there were size differences there. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had them kind of in the Pokedex, and they would have like an indicator, but they wouldn't actually show as a size difference. But I'm assuming it'll be the Legends Arceus variation. I don't think that that's that hard for them to do. It's just taking the model, making it bigger. And I feel like it would be a big step back in the franchise if they did not include the size variations. So fingers crossed that that's there, because I actually like that aspect of it. Having a really big Pokemon or a really small Pokemon was something that I really enjoyed playing Pixelmon all these years. So having it in the Pokemon game like Scarlet and Violet, I think is a huge win. And then some other information. The new Giraffe Rig Evolution is apparently pure Psychic type. Obviously, regular Giraffe Rig is normal in Psychic, so the idea that this thing would become pure Psychic is quite fascinating, and I've actually got this really cool model here from my friend Ivo. Ivo's an incredible modeler, and he put this little Giraffe Rig together, so check that out. I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, he modeled it himself, but a nice shot of what Giraffe Rig kind of looks like. It seems as though that there's going to be a common rider-inspired Pokemon. There's some thoughts from the Riddler that it might be bug fighting, but that apparently is not the correct typing. But this does give us the insight that there's probably going to be this new bug Pokemon. But we knew that there was going to be like a Japanese samurai bug Pokemon from Riddler Coup. So we'll have to wait and see what's up with this common rider-inspired Pokemon. But obviously, as a fan of bug types myself, I'm very excited. The prospect of getting new bugs is always a big win to me. So we'll have to wait and see what that ends up being. Central Leaks does a nice little kind of summary here of all the different forms, but we're gonna actually look at their explanation of these different things. So they've done an explanation based on what they gathered from Kaka, talking about different types of species in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The first of which is the ancient and future species, saying that they're ancestors or descendants for a current Pokemon that have time traveled from the past or future. These species do not evolve, they're standalone Pokemon, but they have really high stats. They're classified as brand new Pokemon with their own name and their own Pokedex number. Then there's a subspecies of Pokemon called Convergent Species. Now, whether these are the official terms or not, I think is to be determined. A number of new Pokemon that look very similar to old Pokemon. They're completely unrelated to their original counterpart, but they pretty much look the same, almost like a recolor. They can have different typings. These species are based on the convergent evolution concept from biology. They also have their own name and Pokedex number. So seems like the water is a little bit muddled in this topic, but that's kind of what we're thinking. In terms of different forms that we have, like I said, Central put together this nice little table here. In terms of traditional regional forms, right? Your Alolan Ninetales and the Alolan Diglett or whatever. Wooper is getting a poison form and most likely a regional evolution. And then Tauros is also getting a regional form. In terms of new evolutions, we have Pokemon like Primeape apparently getting a new evolution. Wooper apparently getting a new evolution, much like I said, like Petalil evolves into Hisuian Lilligant, or actually, is that a good example? I don't know if that's a good example. Ursaring evolving into Ursaluna is a better example. Murkrow getting a new evolution, Dunsparce getting a new evolution, Giraffe Rig getting a new evolution, and then Bisharp, but maybe the Bisharp is actually Pawniard getting an evolution, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. And then this breakdown between ancient species and future species. Jigglypuff is ancient, Amoonguss is ancient. Apparently Volcarona gets one ancient and one future. Salamence is marked down as a thought for the ancient species. There's a Gen 2 Pokemon, and then there's Mischievous. And then in terms of future species, you've got Delibird, Gallade, but apparently it's a hybrid of Gallade and Gardevoir, Volcarona again, Tyranitar this time, and then a Generation 2 Pokemon. And then looking at the convergent species, we have Diglett, which is apparently going to be water. And then we know that there's going to be a Gen 1 water type that walks to land according to Riddler Coup. The speculation right now is maybe it's the Horsey line, maybe it's the Staryu line, maybe it's, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Lapras is another theory. Some other information we have here, Poke-Sutami providing translations, saying the question was asked, is there an interesting evolution technique in the game? And they said, I can't go into detail, but the way Primeape evolves is a bit interesting. So another bit of confirmation that Primeape is getting an evolution, which was something we had talked about a few days back. So apparently Primeape gets a new evolution, and it has a unique way that it evolves. Maybe it's through a move, maybe it's through some sort of mechanic in battle. We'll have to wait and see. And then Dunsparce apparently stays normal type, according to the translation from Poke-Sutami. I think people for so long have speculated that Dunsparce was become a dragon type, it was gonna become a fairy type. To find out that we finally get a Dunsparce evolution, and it's gonna be pure normal, to me is a little bit disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit disappointing. I don't know, man, that feels very strange to me that we go and have this Dunsparce evolution. It's just pure normal, but apparently that's what the leaks are saying. That's what they're saying. I don't know what to tell you. A few other bits of information. Apparently Makuhita or Hariyama are set to get a future form as well, which was not on Centro's document that they posted, but there was something to do with the Arm Fist Pokemon or Arm Thrust Pokemon, which is obviously Makuhita and Hariyama. So that Pokemon is someone to look at, is potentially getting a new form. So keep your eye out on that one. And then the last thing I wanted to kind of mention was that this leaker Kaka said, hey, this is it for me. This is my last day. But then they made a Discord server, and they said, I'm gonna start using the Discord server to leak information as opposed to using the Twitter server, or Twitter feeds. But apparently the server existed for about 10 or 20 minutes, and then it was deleted. So not really sure what's going on there. That's not very uncommon for this individual, as this leaker Kaka has basically deactivated and reactivated their Twitter a handful of times over the last week, which again, I'm not surprised to see. But they seem to kind of go back and forth about what they want to do. Again, they are saying that this is it for them. I don't know if I believe it. There may be another update tomorrow, but like I said, we'll probably do a video to recap just everything that's happened, because there's just been so much. And all while Pokemon's game has been leaked and leaked and leaked and leaked, Pokemon has been silent in terms of trailers, man. Every day I wake up expecting me to be a new trailer, and there just hasn't been one, which is, to me, just very strange. It's been almost 7 weeks since our last bit of information, and it's not as if I'm, you know, completely off track here and thinking that there should have been information by now. Typically, it's, you know, if they're not gonna do every 2 weeks like they did Sun and Moon Cycle, it's generally at least every month or so. And with June 1st being our last bit of information, Pokemon fans are starting to stir a little bit. And I don't know what to tell you. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let me know your thoughts on the latest leaks. And again, stay tuned for an update video tomorrow, as we're gonna just keep I don't think he's done. I really don't think he's done. But if he is done, where do we go from here? I don't know. Maybe an actual trailer soon. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.